Hello, I'm going to show you today how to come up with 25 different ideas or 25 variations much easier than you think. So you're going to have to do 25 sketches. So don't panic. You're really only going to do 5. But because of the way I'm going to have you do it, you're going to be able to come up with 25 just by doing 5 sketches. I'm going to show you how to make all of that happen. So this is basically what we're aiming for. And then it's actually going to give you even more with the second step. So the first step is to go to your sketchbook, and if you're right or left-handed, it doesn't really matter, but it does need to be oriented so that the spirals are on one side or the other. So it doesn't really matter which way, but this one cannot be with the spirals on top. So one or the other. So because I'm right-handed, I'm going to have my spiral bound on the left. So I'm going to go to a new page where I've got at least 5 pages that are blank. So I'm going to go back here a ways. So I've got at least 5 sketches that are all, or sketch pages that are all together. So the first thing I need to do is sketch a pot. Now the first one may be a little intimidating. Don't be nervous, everything's fine. And I'm going to show you first actually something that you want to avoid doing. When you're sketching, a lot of times when people are really nervous, they tend to feel like they've got to draw everything in one single solid line. You really don't have to do that. You're able to do sketchy lines. So instead of one single solid line, it's okay. You kind of round out, kind of go back and forth over the lines. If you mess up, there are erasers for a reason. Go back, erase just that little part. You don't have to erase the entire line and start over. You're just making little changes, little light things. You can always, if you decide, oh, I really like that, now you can come back and make those lines darker and really commit to them. It's okay. Take it slow. This, by the way, isn't anything in particular. Although, if I put an ellipse on that, little squash down oval, and then start drawing it on the other side, now I can start to see it more as a pot. So I'm going to show you several different ways that you can get ideas. You may end up making these pots, you might not. But one thing I do want to remind you again is you don't have to do that single solid line, and you've got to think about the viewpoint that you're using for your pots. So you're not going to have a perfect top there and then draw something else there. This doesn't make sense. It's like, what exactly is this? Are you looking at something, down at something? What's your viewpoint there? So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so none of that. You got to figure out your viewpoint. Are you looking straight at a pot, or what are you actually doing? So for example, there's a glue stick right here. If I look straight down on it, I see a circle. But if I start to turn it, see how I see more and more of the top as I turn it toward me? But as I turn that away from me, it becomes more elliptical. So I just have a little bit of a curve. And this curve is repeated down here. So I've got to think about what's happening there. And as I rotate it back up, again, it becomes more round, but I see less of the body. So think about those things as you're sketching. What are you actually seeing? Okay, so now we're getting into the actual assignment. Okay, so back to this. So again, I go to a blank page, and you can start out relatively simple. You don't want to draw the same pot 5 times, but each pot is going to fill the page. And if you think about the page being divided into thirds, it doesn't have to be mathematical, but if you think about it being divided, so that's about 9 inches, so it's about 3, about 6, there we go. So that's approximately where I'm going to divide my page. So I can end up, now if it makes you feel better, you can draw a really light line there. You don't have to. That's a possibility. Okay, so if that helps you out, go ahead. You can also draw a line straight up and down if you think that's going to help you. Sometimes having a central axis or the middle of the pot can really help. So I'm going to start drawing my pot. I'm going to kind of bring it in a little bit, then I'm going to bring it back out, and then I'm going to bring it way down there. Okay, so it's a relatively tall, skinny pot. Now I can compare side to side. It's like, okay, I need to come out a little bit more. You can also try turning your sketchbook upside down if it helps. But I'm not going to say, oh, I'm sorry, that's a little bit asymmetric, not quite centered. So I'm sorry, that's a C. I'm not going to do that. This is really more about ideas and stretching and trying some new things. Okay, so I don't have to worry about decoration on this assignment yet. So then I'm going to put a little oval top. You can just put a straight line there if it makes you feel better, but I'm going to put a little ellipse. And if I can see in there, I'm not going to see a total thing there. I'm going to bring that in. Okay. So now where it meets those lines, going to make a mark, going to make a mark, going to make a mark, going to make a mark. Okay. Then I'm going to turn that so I can cut. I'm going to cut across. If you didn't draw a line, you're just cutting it about a third and about a third. But what's important is where that cut or that line and the line of the pot, where those meet. So I'm going to peel back the top and the bottom. I'm going to leave the center for a minute. And on the next page, I'm going to make those marks, right? Basically where my other marks were. And I'm going to move that. So my next pot has to also be through those lines. It doesn't have to be the same pot. In fact, I don't want it to be, but I do have to go through those. So on the last one, I made the body, the center part, I made the body come out. So I think this time I'm going to kind of slant it in a little bit instead. And then I'm going to bring that bottom in like that too. Well, actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to make, because my other one kind of came in. This one I'm going to let be kind of round on the bottom. But I'm going to have it have little feet. And there's a third one back on the back there. And I'm going to come up. And this one's going to have kind of an organic top. So it kind of comes down. Woo. And a little flippy bit there. Okay, so a very different kind of pot. But it still goes through those same spots. So again, I'm going to cut through those marks. I'm going to cut through those marks. We're close to it anyway. Again, I'm going to leave the centerpiece. And if that confused you, go back a step and watch that part again. So I've got those 4 dots. And again, my pot needs to come through those. I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter. Again, you can keep drawing that center line if it helps you. Oh, that one got a lot different. I must have shifted that a little bit. That's all right. Again, that's why there's erasers. So I brought that one in a lot more than I should have earlier. So I'm going to just erase that away. So the last one had an irregular top, but this one I'm going to have an irregular bottom. So again, that first sketch part, that was just kind of a place to get started. Oh no, but I'm outside of that dot. I can't have that. That's one thing I do need to correct. So perhaps I got off center a little bit. So I have to make sure that I go through those dots. So maybe I actually want this to be kind of asymmetric. These don't all have to be symmetrical, but they have to go through the dots. Okay, so again, I cut through my dots. And I do this for 5 pages. I'm not going to make you watch all my sketches. I want to show you what to do next. Okay, so I've got that. Pretend that I've gotten 5 pages. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do another one. See how now I can mix and match a little bit and get different looks. Even though I only drew so far 3 pots, I've got more variety than just that. Sometimes they'll work together, sometimes they won't. I'm going to skip back to the first set of these I did. So I've got, that was my sketch 1. Again, I divided that, made my marks, did sketch 2, sketch 3, sketch 4, oops, that must have been sketch 4, sketch 4, and sketch 5. So I've got 5 different, totally different, but again, maybe I want bottom number 2, and maybe I want that next one, and I want that one. What I actually want, I'm going to show you how you can make even more variety. So decided I really like that top, and we're going to go with, let's see which body, that body. So I've got this lip and neck, this body, and then the foot part, I want that one. So if that's the combination I want, at this point I would take a picture of that. You can use your phone, you can use your use the school camera, whichever way you prefer. But you're going to take a picture of the one combination that you like the most. And I'll show you how to do the rest on the computer. But after you've done that, you're going to import that picture into Word, and you're going to play with the proportions. You're going to stretch it out. You're going to stretch it out this way, stretch it out that way. So you end up with 6 different proportions. Okay, so you've got 5 different sketches here, 6 different proportions after you take your picture. Again, I'll show you how to do this. I'll put that on the computer and load it up. But then you're going to do 6 different proportions, stretch it out, squish it down, take the one you want, copy it 6 times. And I'll show you how to make that stand out a little bit more if you're having trouble seeing your picture. Now you do need to make sure the ones that you're using are dark enough to show in your picture. But then once you've got the 6, then you're going to print that out. Okay, so I've got my 6 proportions. Pick one, repeat that 6 times. Now notice these are each on half a page. Okay, so we've got the proportions on one half, the same on the other half. Okay, so I've not all of them on one big page. You want to divide that in half. Then once you print it, then you're going to, just by hand, you're going to do different design work. Now you could do some of this on the computer too. If you prefer to do things on the computer, you can do that with the computer instead. So again, by doing this, you've got, theoretically, how many different options do you think you have? Mathematically, I should say, not theoretically, but mathematically, what kind of, change does that make in the type of, or the numbers that you've got to work from? It's not just 5 sketches anymore. There's 25 different ones of these, and even more once you get into this. So this is one way to make things really, really different. So your assignment is to do the 5 that you cut, and again, they all have to go through those same 4 points. The first sketch, you pick the points. After that, you've got to follow the same points. Then you'll have the half page with the different proportions, and then the half page, printer page, full sketchbook page, but half printer page that you print out, glue into your book, and then do 6 different embellishments. You don't have to worry about how you would build it, but think about how it would look.